Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, when words fail to express our feelings, our sentiments, sufferings, and agony, then the silence takes over. Silence, in its own way, is the strongest language to express our inner feelings. Now, we will observe 1 minute silence to express our solidarity with our Kashmiri brother. It starts now. Thank you so much. Now we'll watch a short documentary on the background of Kashmir Solidarity Day and the human rights violation in Indian occupied Kashmir.
Every year on February 5th, Pakistani nation and Kashmiris in Azad Jammu and Kashmir observe Day of Solidarity with the hapless Kashmiris brethren of Indian occupied Kashmir, enslaved by India since the time of partition by illegally occupying the state. On this day, seminars, conferences and rallies are held and marches are organized in cities, towns and villages of Pakistan and Azad Kashmir to highlight the Indian atrocities in occupied Kashmir. Objective of observing this day is to create awareness on Kashmir issue all over the world, so that international community should take notice of Indian state terrorism and to remind the United Nations its promises to end its apathy towards the issue. Pakistani masses and the government have always felt the pain of Kashmiri brethren and provided them political, moral and diplomatic support. Pakistan has endeavored to divert the United Nations and world community attention towards human rights violations and war crimes of Indian Army in occupied state. Every year on February 5th, the most important event of the day remains the human chain made on the bridges linking Pakistan with Azad Jammu and Kashmir, where Kashmiris and Pakistanis demonstrate that they enjoy unbreakable bonds.
Mr. President, 100,000 Kashmiris have died in the past 30 years because they were denied the right given by the United Nations, the right for self-determination. 100,000 have died and 11,000 women have been raped. There are two United Nations human rights reports on this. The world hasn't done anything because India has a huge market, 1.2 billion people. Sadly, the material prevails over the human. But this has serious consequences. And I've come here to tell the UN, this is a test for the United Nations. You are the one who guaranteed the people of Kashmir the right of self-determination. They are suffering because of that.
In 1947, the people of the subcontinent got freedom from British colonial rule, and two independent dominions of Pakistan and India were created. Under the principles of partition plan, state of Jammu and Kashmir was to become natural part of Pakistan due to its overwhelming Muslim majority and contiguity with Pakistan. On July 19, 1947, the representative party of Kashmiri masses, All Jammu and Kashmir Muslim Conference, adopted a unanimous resolution for accession to Pakistan. But on October 27, under a preconceived conspiracy, Indian Army invaded Srinagar and tried to annex the state forcibly. The people of Jammu and Kashmir stood up against illegal Indian occupation and resisted the Indian Army. And when India foreseeing a humiliating defeat at the hands of pro-freedom Kashmiris, New Delhi approached United Nations claiming that Pakistan was interfering in the state. But the UN rejected the Indian claim and granted Kashmiris right to self-determination on January 5, 1949. Overall, the UN has adopted over a dozen resolutions asking for grant of right to self-determination to Kashmiris. The then Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, not only accepted these resolutions, but India also gave assurance of their implementation to grant Kashmiris right to self-will. But later, India started using delaying tactics and backtracked from its solemn commitment at World Forum and started claiming Kashmir as integral part of India. Kashmiri masses have never accepted Indian slavery and illegal occupation and always reiterated their pledge for freedom from India and accession to Pakistan. Hearts of Pakistani people and Kashmiri masses beat Indianism as they are united in bonds of history, religion, geography, culture, and these relations have withstood all tests of times. Kashmiris in Indian-occupied Kashmir also share Pakistanis' happiness and grief. Whenever Pakistan wins any match in sports arena, Kashmiris celebrated wholeheartedly, and Kashmiri students in schools and colleges and local players wear kit of Pakistani cricket team eagerly and sing Pakistani national anthem with zeal and fervor by risking their lives. Dead bodies of Kashmiri martyrs are often wrapped in Pakistani flags at the time of funeral, where tens of thousands of Kashmiris throng to attend their funerals. Despite gross human rights violations and atrocities being committed by the occupation forces, Kashmiri masses are fighting against foreign occupation forces with great spirit and offering unprecedented sacrifices. They demand right to self-determination as promised in United Nations resolutions. Since January 1989, over 95,400 Kashmiris have been martyred as punishment for demand to self-determination by Indian Army. 158,300 Kashmiris have been arrested. Indian Army has been using rape of Kashmiri women as weapon of war, and so far they have molested over 11,100 Kashmiri women in past 30 years. Over 10,000 Kashmiri youth have been disappeared after arrest, while 7,120 Kashmiris were killed during custody. Over 109,440 houses and properties have been put on fire, and more than 22,900 women have been widowed by killing their husbands, while over 107,700 children have been orphaned. Indian Army has been targeting innocent Kashmiri youth, even children, including toddlers, with pellet guns, and consequently, thousands of Kashmiris have lost their eyesight. But no Indian inhuman tactic can end Kashmiri's love for Pakistan. Rather, their love for Pakistan is increasing with increasing atrocities. On August 5th last year, fascist Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi unilaterally revoked the Articles 370 and 35A, which granted occupied Kashmir limited autonomy and imposed round-the-clock curfew in the entire state, with complete suspension of internet and telephone services. The lockdown practically converted the state into a big jail. Thousands of Kashmiris have been arrested and sent to various Indian jails. In Kashmir, serious shortage of edible items and medicines has created a humanitarian crisis. In this difficult time, the people and government of Pakistan are rendering their full support to the just and noble cause of the Kashmiri people. The day of February 5th makes it crystal clear that Kashmir is jugular vein of Pakistan, and Pakistanis feel the pain of Kashmiri brethren. Latest Indian steps to convert Indian-occupied Kashmir into Union territory have further strengthened Kashmiri's determination and resolve to get rid of the Indian slavery and join Pakistan.
Now it's my honor and pleasure to invite Her Excellency Ms. Amna Baloch, High Commissioner of Pakistan, to read out the message of the President of Pakistan, His Excellency Dr. Arif Alvi.
Abbas.
Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed an honor for me to read out the message of the President of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, His Excellency Dr. Arif Alvi. Message from His Excellency Dr. Arif Alvi, President of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, on the occasion of Kashmir Solidarity Day. Today, we express our solidarity with brave and resilient people of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir who have rendered unmatched sacrifices for their legitimate right to self-determination over the course of past 7 decades, and in an indomitable struggle for freedom from oppression. It has been a battle of hope against overwhelming odds, of courage against fear, and of sacrifice against tyranny. But through all of it, the Kashmiri people have persisted, unrelenting and proud like they have always been, to deny India the perverse gratification of subjugating them. On 5th August 2019, India absolved itself of the last pretense of civility and justice by trying to deprive the Kashmiri people of their very identity. Through its illegal and unilateral actions, India directly contravening the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions, tried to further brutalize the Kashmiri people and take additional measures to deny them their legitimate right to self-determination as promised in the resolutions. The world, however, has rejected India's treacherous behavior and its sham democracy. India now stands exposed in front of the international community. Pakistan will continue to raise the issue of Jammu and Kashmir at every available forum. India's illegal actions of August 5th have further strengthened the bond between the people of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistan. The government and the people of Pakistan will continue to extend their political, moral, and diplomatic support to the Kashmiri people until they get their legitimate right to self-determination as per United Nations Security Council resolutions. I thank you all.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Miyati Sharif, Deputy Head of Mission, to read out the message of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, His Excellency Imran Khan.
Message from the Prime Minister of Pakistan on Kashmir Solidarity Day. Today we observe Kashmir Solidarity Day to reaffirm our unflinching support for our Kashmiri brethren and sisters who have been subjugated to an inhuman lockdown and communication blockade for 6 months now. The unprecedented length of these restrictions has fully exposed the fiction of India's democracy and its scant regard for basic human norms. The Kashmiris, the Muslim Ummah, Pakistan, and the international community have rejected India's travesty of law and justice. India has turned 8 million Kashmiris into prisoners in their own country, in their own land, through the deployment of over 900,000 occupation troops. History has few precedents of such suffocation and violations of the fundamental rights at this scale. Tens of thousands of innocent people have been arbitrarily detained and thousands of young boys abducted and incarcerated at undisclosed locations. This is a true manifestation of Indian state terrorism. The international community, major human rights organizations, and the international media have been unanimous in their condemnation of India's unacceptable actions. India stands before the world exposed as a majoritarian and authoritarian polity, trampling upon the basic rights and freedoms of the people of Kashmir. Pakistan demands immediate lifting of the military siege and communication blackout, as well as revocation of India's illegal and unilateral actions. All those illegally arrested and incarcerated should be released immediately, and the draconian laws enabling impunity for Indian occupation forces need to be repealed immediately. The international human rights and humanitarian organizations, as well as the international media, should be allowed access to evaluate the human rights situation in the Indian occupied Kashmir. We urge the international community to play its role in ensuring respect for the fundamental human rights and freedoms of the Kashmiri people and averting grave risks to the global peace and security posed by India's belligerent rhetoric and aggressive action. We express our unshakable solidarity with the people of Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir and assure that Pakistan will always stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Pakistan will continue its full moral, political and diplomatic support until the Kashmiri people have realized their long-standing legitimate right of self-determination in accordance with the United Nations Charter and the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have distinguished panel of speakers from various organizations to dilate upon various aspects of Kashmir Solidarity Day and Kashmir issue in general. It's my honor to invite our first speaker of the day, Mr. Sohail Kamruddin. He is member of Youth Parliament and President Malaysia Kashmir Youth Movement. Mr. Sohail Kamruddin.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Honorable High Commissioner of Pakistan, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, our beloved Prime Minister, our Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, has addressed at the 74th United Nations General Assembly, where he called for the Kashmir dispute between India and Pakistan should be resolved through peaceful means and then should be respect from India. As among the great world leaders, he gives an important statement that the world cannot afford another conflict between two nuclear power countries because it can be a disaster to the world. The people of Kashmir have been under lockdown with limited access of food, medicines, internet, and there are thousands of army personnel roaming the street with pellet gun becoming the weapon of choice, and over 10,000 injured and 800 blind by pellet shots. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian government has imposed a curfew and detained nearly 4,000 people, including political leaders, lawyers and journalists. We felt that the people of Kashmir had benefited from the resolution of the United Nations. And all we are saying is that we should all abide, not just India and Pakistan, but even the United States of America and other countries. Otherwise, what's the good of having the United Nations? Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we have to have strained relationship, but we want to be friendly with people. Malaysia is a trading nation. We need market, and so we have to be nice to every people.